the week when that came out, I was a nervous wreck because I thought, I hope to God I haven't said something really stupid that ends up like as a meme and that. So I hadn't really told loads of people, and I got loads of texts going, I've just watched you on the telly, I've just watched it. And I was like, aye, Sam.
So you got positive feedback?
Proper mint. I still do now, every now and again. Somebody will go, hey, I've just watched the Sunderland thing, I didn't know you win that.
It is quite nerve-wracking when you're kind of putting yourself out there.
Not doing this bit isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the end, because you've got that timeline in between doing this where you're just having a bit of crack and then it actually happening, and you're like, I might be a different person than 2 months ago or whatever, you know.
Like you said yourself in the past, you know, kind of people change along the way.
Of course they do.
And you're actively trying to change.
Yeah.
Because you know that you need to change. And I think that's the important thing there is, I don't want to come across as this person because now I might be somebody else because I'm trying my hardest, because you don't know what's going on in my head.
And how tiring that becomes to be like that. Well, you know yourself doing this. You have to put a Dan now sitting there, you sit with me or somebody who you know, some of these people you might not know, you have to put a bit of a zing on a bit, don't you, to get through the day. Whereas like sometimes you just want to go, I can't do this, like, you know. So
I think you do. I think we all do. It's kind of, it's almost like you're putting on a performance.
Aye. That's day to day now.
Performative energy, which is really hard to kind of do every single day, and it does get exhausting. But the people who get that are people who you love.
Yeah.
They get the shitty end of the stick sometimes.
Aye, and then it gets to the point where that breaks down, and then you're where I am now, where you just like start to pick up the pieces and try and change again and evolve that again and try and learn from that to then the next step or the next little stage in life be better, you know.
Well, let's go back to the beginning then, Andy, because I mean, I could talk to you all day about everything. We've had multiple conversations before, and it's just nice to kind of sit and actually have a full conversation with you, because I want to know from scratch where you're from.
Born and brought up in East Errington, Sunderland. Really nice family, nice area, nice life. Wanted fun out. Perfect sort of childhood, really, other than the bits that go alongside it within my own self, which sort of started when I was quite small, I think.
Have you got brothers and sisters?
Got a brother who's 6 years younger than us, and a sister who's 2 years younger than us.
So you're the oldest then, yeah?
Aye.
Did you find, what was that like? Just kind of paint a picture of this normal life. School, what did you do? What were you into, you know?
Always been into sports stuff, football really, obsessive football. Fan, player, watcher of. Cricket I quite liked as well. Any sort of sports really, like having a bit of a go at. But we sort of, school, I didn't like it too much. It was sort of the type of thing where you go in and just try and do what you have to do and then go home, and then you can kick your ball about a bit, you know. Spent a lot of time with friends locally around the doors, and during like holidays and summer holidays I spent loads of time with my cousins as well. So that was all good. Like I say, I wanted fun out really, so
a happy kid?
Externally, yeah. My mum always would say that I was always smiling and laughing and stuff. They didn't know then what the world knows now, I suppose, about different things, isn't it?
So, because you said that, I'm guessing you were in your head quite a lot?
Yeah, I always have been. So I've got a daughter who's now in secondary school. She's in year 8, gone into year 8, and she's been diagnosed as being autistic. She's me when I was a kid.
You can see it in her.
When she was going through the autism diagnosis, me and me wife, when we were together, we'd be sitting watching documentaries. Chris Packham documentary series he did, and Paddy and Christine McGuinness documentary series that they did, and we're sitting on the settee watching it, and Alex, me then wife, looked at us and just went, "That's you then." So I'd been previously diagnosed as different things, but myself and my daughter are very similar. So when I was little, you didn't have the tablet and headphones and iPhone and all of that to retreat into, so you just sort of, and the world didn't really understand what all of that type of thing was. There's quite a few people who still don't and still would look at it as something different to what it actually is. But I think when I look at her and I think she struggles with it, but what I kind of look at and think, well, it's a bit of a blessing that there's a lot of support for that now, whereas me mum and them, they didn't have that generation, or when I was little, even then, I didn't know what all this stuff I was feeling was, and why I was sort of internally a bit like, what is this, and just trying to like, it's called masking. So you just put that on. It's like a performance day in, day out, to just get back to where you feel happy and comfortable, and then doing what you want to do, and
So let's kind of describe a little bit about what is going on inside your head. You're putting on this face to go to school, do the thing, be with mates, but when you go home and you're behind closed doors, I'm guessing you're a different person, and that's the true you.
Yeah, I think I mean, I can't remember loads about being a small kid, really, or my memory's not the best anyway from that sort of time. All I can really remember is I just wanted to be out with a ball at my feet, and when I was in the house, I'd still do that, but myself, I'd be on my own quite a lot. I had like siblings, but my little brother's like a lot younger, really, in growing up terms. And I'd just listen to music or just watch the same stuff over and over again on videotape and bits and pieces, and like it's just sort of how you feel comfortable and stuff, really.
Are you isolating yourself?
I think so, just so you're not, like when I was growing up, I felt like the house was like quite loud and busy, and like there's always stuff going on, and I was just like, I'm a bit more, I just kind of like the solitude and quiet and stuff. But I remember being at school and feeling like these like dips in like mood and stuff, and then not knowing how to tell people that, and you just think, oh, it's part of growing up and that, and then when you look back and you do bits of work on yourself with different therapists, people and whatever, you sort of think, oh shit, all of that has been there a long time, like.
So people just look at you as like, yeah, he's just moods up and down,
Yeah,
and
and
he's
just
kind of moody kid.
I'll just, no, not even that really, because I'd be kind of good at just like braving it out and sort of acting it out and that, and getting through it. So people always just used to think I was like laughing and carrying on and whatever, like family and that. But it's all just part of how to deal with life, you know.
Did your parents mention anything? Any of your mates?
No.
You have a fallout with any of your mates?
No, not really. It's all very internal. And I think because of that, and because there's not that outlet when you're that age, I think that then possibly exacerbated like issues and bits and pieces later in life, really.
So you're just kind of coping
Aye.
because of the surroundings that you're in
Yeah.
and the social settings that you're in,
Yeah.
and just trying to. Did you think you were like? Would you be like other people? Would you copy other people?
So that is a thing that definitely happens or happened. I'd just kind of latch on to like, well, they're doing that, just do that, and that like makes you fit in. And like I said, I had a really like loving family and like no bother or nout to worry about at home or anything like that. It's just yourself, like trying to find out who you are and that, and then.
So they had no idea because they couldn't see this because you weren't doing anything
Well,
in front
because
of them.
and also it didn't exist then, so you sort of like, or if it did, it was the more extreme end of the spectrum, as they would call it. Yeah.
So you'd have to do something really crazy, really out there, as we call crazy out there, to get any attention to, because you didn't know what was going on, did you?
No, you just try and get through it. And I managed, to be fair. I did all right at school. I've always had friends, and I was like, I always kind of got on with stuff, but I've always felt something a bit different, maybe. And then as I got a bit older, I started to realise that, like later down the line, like.
So, I mean, how old are you now then, Andy?
40.
40. So it was quite a long time ago. You're talking like 70s, early 80s, isn't it?
Yeah,
Early 80s?
Yeah, 80s, 90s.
Okay. I mean, at what point did things start to get worse? Did you notice things getting worse, or what was that position? Because clearly you're cracking on, you're getting on with life, and you're just being like everybody else, and you don't think there's anything wrong, and in your head this is normal because it's your head.
So when I realised was like as a late teenager, really, and into my 20s, because you just sort of find like drink and drugs and partying and all of that carry on, and you just think, oh well, all this is just the way it is, and this is how you feel, and this is what it's like, and this is all normal. And then I realised that, like, say like the come downs or whatever, that wasn't normal. What was happening in my head, different noises in my head and voices and saying things that weren't there, and things I kind of thought, yeah, this isn't normal.
So what kind of things?
I'd say stuff in windows. I'd say stuff if I'm like when I'm driving in the mirrors and stuff. Dark figures, like with hoods up. I went through a phase of saying like Victorian blokes with like them big hats on and that. I've seen big cats in fields. I've seen all sorts of mad stuff.
So this all started because you just out partying, stuff like that.
No, well, I don't think that's because of it. I think that wouldn't have helped, obviously, but I found that was like a way of dulling the pain and the issues and the like strifing within myself and in my own head. So I thought, well, because this helps sort of quell this a bit, I'll go down this road. So I sort of did that for years, but then a bit later on, in my 20s, like I said, I realised that things weren't, what was happening wasn't normal. And then I'm seeing all this stuff. This was like well into my 20s by now, and just stress of life and stuff. And I just thought, this isn't right. And they're saying stuff and that, and hearing the voices constantly like talking to us about us, commentating on stuff, what I'm doing, and I just hear like, if you go into the way I sort of described it to people before is like, if you go into a pub that hasn't got music on, you know, like a crap like Weatherspoons on a Saturday morning, where like it's just chitter chatter and that's in my head all the time. Like it's just constant, and then there's like more like pronounced sort of voices and stuff amongst all of that. And I just thought, nah, this isn't right. Definitely not. And I'd felt really low, and I'd have periods of feeling really low. And then I'd sort of, when you're not at the low point, you're a bit high. So then it's back to the drugs and the drink and that, and then you just feel like you just can press like a self-destruct button, and then so life's just been kind of chaotic, really, because I couldn't. It's a really difficult thing to explain to people what's going on in your head, because I don't even know myself. Even now, I don't even know myself, really. So like, if you broke your arm, you cut your arm, whatever, you'd gone, all right, well, that needs setting, that needs stitching, that needs covering over. In your head, you're not saying that. So you're like, how do I explain this when I can't like compartmentalize it or see it, like work it out myself. I feel like I've got a lot better at doing that over the years, mind, saying that. But yeah, it's a strange thing, your brain.
Was there any signs of it when you were younger, or is this just been like a gradual thing, and then you're using the drink and the drugs as an escape?
Yeah, as an escape is the thing. People will always say like, oh well, it's come from doing that, and you think, well, I wasn't doing that when I was 8, so.
And you like you were seeing things and stuff back then?
No, I was hearing. I can vividly remember like lying in bed and just hearing my name being like said over and over and over again, like hours on end on nights and stuff.
So at that time, what did you think that was at 8?
Dunno, you just think like it must just because you're tired or whatever, or you don't know. I don't know. I remember hearing like bells and stuff and phones and like.
Did you mention anything like to your mum or anything?
No. Can't remember ever telling them, or if I did, they must have just been like
kid stuff.
Aye. But you know, back then there wouldn't have known, man. Like there wouldn't have been any sort of. I don't know if there'd have been any sort of understanding of anything like that anyway. But like I didn't really realise this until I did a lot of therapy, and then they get you to go back and think, and I remember stuff that had happened at school. I remember like that being the pointed one, because there was a time where I thought, I wonder if it is like the amount of abuse I put my body through that's done this. Yeah, I just thought, wait, no, because it was there before, before all of that.
So this is just taking a long time to kind of.
Yeah. So I've lived with it for a long, long time, but all of that stuff's just an escape, and it's a very easy, like, stress levels are insane at times in the world, as it is at the minute. I think personally, you're just bombarded with stuff constantly, and it's total like sensory overload constantly. And I mean, your phone that you've got in your hand all the time, it can get hold of you day and night very, very easily, and it can be relentless and whatever. And I just think the stress levels don't help the mental issues, but we sort of live at the minute in a place where everything's like instant gratification, and so you go on like social media, scroll through, and you're like, oh, that's a funny video of whatever. Oh, that's good, and you're getting them little hits and stuff, and then you can press 3 buttons on your phone, and somebody will drop you off a little bag of whatever you want within half an hour, or you can go to wherever and do whatever you want. It's a very easy, very quick sort of, like the way life is at the minute. So it's stressful, and I don't think that really helps. And I think it's an easy escape from all that is just to press that red button and just self-destruct button. And I'm at a point, or I was at a point maybe 18 months ago, where because that chaos was like me normal, I didn't really understand that things being nice and being chilled and just being steady away, that's what life is, not the. But then because I'd got myself to a point where I'm sort of dealing with all this stuff quite well, not drinking, off the drugs, long time, exercising, meditating, cold water, more exercise, moving my body to deal with physical issues of fibromyalgia and neuralgia stuff and stuff that like other bits and pieces, and you think, I'm doing this and this is all really good and I feel different, but that difference so uncomfortable because the normal's fucking chaos and like just chaos and stress. You start to think, what is normal then? Is it that side of it, or is it this? So learning all that, like sort of rewiring your whole brain and your body and your system and your thought patterns and your beliefs and stuff. You're rewiring all of that to just become a different person, to be fair.
It sounds exhausting, Andy.
It is. It is exhausting. There's a thing I don't know if you know this, a thing about spoon theory. Have you heard of that? Well, like chronic fatigue and chronically ill, and so like you start the day with so many spoons, and you might use like a couple to get ready, and then you're gone for a walk, so there's another spoon, and then you're gone, you meet your mate, and you're gone out for something to eat, so that's 4 spoons, and then it gets to 2 o'clock and you've got no spoons left, so you need to kind of recharge yourself and stuff. So it's just about trying to like stretch all of that out over the day and just find out what gets you through the day and what keeps you away from all of the negative sort of coping mechanisms.
There's lots of ways of thinking about that, because I'd like to go back and maybe talk about, it just seems like this was a gradual thing, and it obviously got to a point when you're in your late 20s and you go, at what point did it kind of come off the rails, should I say, or there was a fork in the road and you went left and not right because of your mental health issues? What point?
We'd been living down south for a few years, and I'd gone to see like some doctor about depression, really.
So you're trying to find a fix for what you don't
what
know what's wrong
I
with
just
you.
thought was depression, so I'd been put on some sort of tablet or whatever, and then the job that I was doing down there, the contract was coming round, so we moved, and me missus wanted to move back there, start a family and stuff. So we were living in Northumberland, and it just seemed to get worse from then. I was seeing some specialist people there, and I was on all sorts of cocktails of medication and antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilisers, and then they were excellent mind, I've got to say. They were brilliant, and they put a lot of effort and time into trying to make things better.
Was there any one diagnosis or hey, Randy, or not?
Bipolar disorder and psychosis.
So you'd been to the doctors and they've kind
But
of...
this was, so it was like depression, and then when I moved up there, I went, it was kind of just not getting any better and getting worse, and I'd started self-harming and stuff. So I
Is
went,
that during the depression you started self-harming?
So what was when I'd moved back up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hiding that for a bit, but then there's only so much of it you can hide in it when you're cutting your arms and legs to shreds. So I ended up going and seeing the specialist team.
Right, sorry, Andy, why were you doing that?
What, the self-harm?
Yeah, I mean,
Because it's a different coping mechanism to, I don't know, so the way I didn't want to, like, it's a difficult way of explaining this. If you cut your arm, if your head feels like it's just like chaos like this, constant, like, and then it's getting worse and it's bubbling up and bubbling up and bubbling up. If you physically, like, stick a razor blade in your arm and cut it, it's like a release of that mental sort of pain. It's like a kettle boiling, but that's like a pressure valve. So it sort of, it genuinely fucking helps the stress and stuff, because I don't know whether it's just like part of a like ritualistically, or because you're swapping the mental pain for physical sort of pain.
so
But it's like a sort of a quick hit release, which I honestly think is possibly part of why I like the cold water therapy,
you put yourself through
because
a
you
lot
just
of
put in that.
hardship.
But it's swapping the mental for the physical, and then you're changing the environment that you're in to put yourself into an environment that your body has to deal with, stopping whatever's going on in your head. Cold water, ice. Your body's then gone, we need to do this now, type of thing, which is the same type of thing as self-harming, I think.
I've never thought about that, Andy. I think that's quite interesting that you've said that, because you've got experience in both. And obviously it's finding another solution to cutting yourself, and you found a solution to cold water therapy, working out, doing other various things.
The working out thing, there's a lot of people who sort of have been drug addicts or alcoholics or gambling addicts or whatever, then find working out. You'll find a lot of them in long distance endurance sort of sport, and I think that is because long distance and endurance sport, lots of people will disagree with this, is quite simply put a socially acceptable way of self-harming, and it's a socially acceptable addiction. And if you I look at some of the people I train with, I look at some of the people I know, and I hear them talking, and the way they're relentlessly attacking the next goal, or they have to do this, or they have to do, and I just think, just if you're sticking powder up your nose, or you're putting your body through that, really, it's the same mindset. But if you're swapping one addiction for another, and that one's healthy, I mean, how healthy is it in the long term? This is coming from me who's done ultra marathons and Iron distance triathlons and whatever. And I know now what I'm putting my body through to do that. And I know why I'm putting my body through to do it. And it is to keep fit, and it is to keep my head straight. But you do like the pain, and you reckon your ankles and your knees and your back and your hips, and it's all part of the same package. It's just got a different ribbon on it, like, really.
It's coping. People are finding ways of coping, because I think, is there a link between that and an addictive personality?
There probably is, but is there such a thing as an addictive personality, or is it just that? I don't know, but I do think that it is sort of, there's definitely something to be said for having bad coping mechanisms, strategies, good coping mechanism strategies. and I'd much rather take a little bit longer to get a dopamine hit from running 10k a day or a quick 5k or whatever, and being out or running with the dog for an hour through some fields than chopping up a couple of lines and sticking them up your nose.
And it's much better than cutting yourself as well.
It is much better, and it looks better when you're not cutting yourself. Yeah, I had to have some interesting conversations with me son, especially when I got to an age where I was like, "What's all them on your arm for?" And I was like, "Fighting tigers," basically.
Yeah,
Mental tigers.
it's tough because you can't really explain that to somebody who doesn't understand.
No, but I've always been quite open with me children about me head and stuff. So the other week we went out for some food, and he's 10 now, and he was sitting there and he went, they were on about ghosts, the bands, and he went, have you ever seen a ghost? And I went, oh, aye, in Harrington Park. And like, there's this story my daughter's massively into at the minute, where one of the maids or something in the park has been murdered, and a ghost in the park. And years ago, I was like, I saw it years ago. And my son, who's 10, went and looked us dead in the eye and went, it's not just an hallucination, like. And I went, I might have been. I hadn't thought about it. I thought I'd seen a ghost for the last 25 years. And it turns out my 10-year-old son reckons it was a hallucination. Probably right. So, there you go.
So let's go back. Cutting yourself, you go to the doctors, you get diagnosed, obviously depression, but now it's bipolar.
Yeah, so what
Then you're
happened,
on a cocktail here. So what's
what happened
happening
there
here?
was I ended up with the crisis team in the house. I thought I'd seen somebody in the house. My wife was pregnant at the time. So, me being the person that I am, I went to just attack said thing in the house, and flung we had like the doors that, like, you know, the glass between them, and I flung like a vase or something, and it went through the window of the thing, so that wasn't very good.
You thought somebody was there?
I thought somebody was behind the glass in the house, and that was just an hallucination, but I didn't realise that they were that intense at the time, so I ended up with a crisis team out, and then it was in Hexham. They were really, really good, to be fair. So, but then I ended up on this cocktail of drugs and stuff, and they kind of changed everything every few months, and it was probably a bit too quick, but I kind of fault them because they looked after us, to be fair. Never ended up getting put into any sort of hospital sort of thing. They just they dealt with us as a community sort of thing. But over the next couple of years, being on all them drugs, them tablets and stuff, my weight just went through the roof, and I kind of just was like, well, I was like a zombie. And then, like,
shutting your system down on you.
mentally, I was like a zombie. So you might have been taken from where I was, you were probably getting down to about 85%, but my self-esteem was just like down here, and I don't think it's ever really recovered properly from then. So I put a lot of weight on and stuff, and over a couple of years, I did a lot of talking therapy, and a lot of it was good, and some of it wasn't good, and I met some really good peer support people. I met a guy who showed us some meditation, who was a Buddhist monk, and that was when we'd moved back to Sunderland, and he was fantastic. I wish I could get in touch with him now, to be honest. You know, at the time I was like, well, this bloke's like, it was like some sort of deity. Like, just
What's his name?
Sagara something, I think. Through the Sunderland like health trust people, the mental health team here. So
what was he doing that was really helpful?
It was just showing us like meditation techniques and stuff, and he'd come to my house and sit and like do these meditation sessions. I think he only done half a dozen, but he was just mint, like. And I had a couple of really good therapists who you're meant to get 6 sessions, and I ended up getting like 14, and we just keeping us on and just going, look, and sort of, we'll tell them we need some more, and just keep coming, and I had, honestly, I had some fantastic support, and then that went on for years and years, and I got to a point where I was like, I'm too heavy, I'm not fit. I was getting physical issues from that. I was still taking the like recreational sort of stuff, and I ended up in hospital a few years ago with a thing called colitis, and I think off the back of that, because the sort of, I was in hospital for like a week with that, and it was extremely painful. I think off the back of that I ended up with a fibro, and then because I hadn't been doing a lot of exercise, and
So you'd been doing exercise, you'd fell off a little bit,
I
and
hadn't
then
been doing, at this point I hadn't been doing a lot. I sort of came off the medicines because I thought, and I'm just going the other way. So I went on, changed my diet, I joined the gym, and I did little bits and pieces, but I was still doing a bit of the recreational stuff, and I was still pressing the self-destruct button a fair bit, and I had a young family. Honestly, me then wife needs a medal, really.
it must be quite hard in a family.
Awful, man. And then at this point, my daughter's getting a little bit older, and then we're seeing it in her. Like, it's a bit jumbled up, the timeline and stuff, but I then had this like colitis thing, which I think was just off the back of like a bad lifestyle sort of thing. Stress, basically, stress. And then off the back of that, I ended up with this thing called fibromyalgia. I went to the doctors, and he said, you need to do some exercise. So I looked in the Facebook groups, which is the new age thing of don't Google your symptoms. If you ever get diagnosed with something, don't join a bloody Facebook group about it. I'm looking at all these people, and there were 90% of them, maybe higher, I'd give up. Fibromyalgia, it's gonna wreck you. You cannot do anything. I need a wheelchair, and I need this, and I thought, well, there's my life hour here. So I went back to the doctors, and I was like, what do I do? And he said, you need to do some exercise. So I think what he meant was gone for a walk. So I took up triathlon, which was what kind of me all hour, in for a penny, in for a pound. Like.
Of course, you go to the extremes, don't you? So let's just explain.
Nice.
I mean, what is fibromyalgia?
It's a condition where your body, it's like chronic fatigue and widespread pain. So your body's just like you're just in pain, and you're knackered. But that's caused by stressful events, and it's a fairly recent sort of thing, I think, that people get diagnosed with. It comes from like seemingly it comes from traumatic events and stuff, which like the colitis they say is like having a stroke in your stomach, so that's a fairly traumatic event. The stress levels that I live with me head, that's traumatic, but it could come from anything. It could come from you having like I don't know, recovering from a cancer diagnosis. It could be from a car crash. It could be from coming off a bike. But I just thought, when he said do some exercise, and I'd read through these things, people were just going, I cannot walk 100 meters, and I cannot do this, and I just thought, I'm not that guy. Like, if I put my head to something, I'd generally like give it a gun. And I just thought, I'm going to watch my diet, I'm going to come off all the meds, I'm going to try my best to just move my body. And I find it very, very important that when I get up one morning, I'll do 10 minutes of meditation, and then I'll just move my body. I'll go for a walk, I'll do some stretching. I've got a dog now, a little dog, and well, not little, he bought a collie, so he's very energetic, and he gets us up and out on a morning. So I go down the safe front every morning with him, and I run and I cycle, and some days I can do a lot, and some days I can do very little, and some days I can do bits and pieces. And if I have to have a rest on an afternoon for half an hour, I'll do that. Or if I have to have an hour, I'll do that. Or, you just find what you've got to do to get through. Like,
You sound pretty resilient, Andy. It sounds like you don't stop. Was there any point where you just get exhausted and you're sick of it all?
yeah, but if I don't do it, then what? Then do I just go back the other way and press the 3 buttons on your phone and end up with bags of whatever shoveling up your nose again? Because then, at the age that I am now, I'd probably have a heart attack. And then my kids wouldn't have a dad, and you leave a lot more behind then, didn't you? Because it does get to a point where you feel like chucking it all in, and I've been in that place more than a couple of times, to be fair, where I've thought, I cannot do that, I don't want to be here anymore. And I've thought, right, this is it, fuck this. Sometimes I've felt like the only way out of the pain in my head was for us to not be here. But resilience probably what I am. Either that or I haven't got the bottle to see it through or whatever.
But you seem to love life as well, Andy.
I do. I just find it very hard. That's all. Because it is hard.
So your new life, off the meds, exercising. What else are you doing? Let's go through your nice list of
stuff that I did.
Self-management, Andy.
So this time last year, pretty much to the week, me and my wife split up. We'd been together from being 15, so we were together for 25 years. When you've got an autistic parent and an autistic child in your family, that is a fucking strain on any family. Like, I don't care who you are. And I've got a lot of time for how she sort of held everything together for a very, very long time, to be fair. So I kind of needed to find a way of coping with that. So in the last maybe month or two, I've sort of started to come to terms with it a bit. Like I say, I've always wanted to get a dog, and I've never got one, so I got a dog, and I just spend a lot of time, me and him and new person in my life, dodging about, and we'll go walking a lot, we'll do a lot of running. I'm still going up to the gym a lot. I do a lot of exercise sessions. There's some days I just can't either face it or my body can't physically manage with it. But most days, because I've built up that sort of base fitness and resilience over a few years, I can do quite a bit. But I've sort of learnt to get to a point where my body's like, nah, back off a bit. I'll do that. So I meditate. I'd still do the Wim Hof stuff every now and again because it's quite fun. The cold water therapy, either in the sea, which I absolutely love doing, or in like a rudimentary ice bath thing that I've got in the back garden, or when we're out and about in lakes, rivers, whatever. Cycling, I absolutely love. Climbing mountains, I absolutely love doing. I just try now to have the amount of all the experiences that I can, because I just think if the fibro gets any worse, then I'm not going to be able to do stuff. So I just say, yeah, let's have a go at that. And if getting out your comfort zone sometimes is good in it for growth and for development. And
So you don't push yourself like you do when you're doing the ultras and stuff.
you've kind of got it, haven't you, for that? But it's a very slow build up into that type of thing.
Yeah, but you don't feel pressurized. You're not pressurizing yourself.
I'm not putting myself under any pressure to do anything. I didn't really feel like I've got nothing to prove to myself, or
Have you had to accept that?
probably. But I have achieved, like, I've done ultras and I've done long distance tries, and I can have a gun at them, and if my body feels class, I can push it a bit, and if it doesn't, I can get through it, and if it really doesn't, I just didn't do it. But I like the training. I've always been, because I was into football a lot and I did coaching and stuff, I've always liked the process of training and that type of thing. So I like training, and I like doing I like doing the work that on the day of getting to the start line, that's whatever it is, it's getting there, that's the thing. And it's that continual sort of training and keeping on going and keeping that base level of fitness and stuff. Because that's every day, and that's what keeps you going, and that's what.
So you're doing lots of different things in lots of different categories. So you're doing the graft and the grind, which is the exercise.
Yeah.
What does the ice bath and the cold water therapy give you?
Recovery and just mental sort of, it's stress relief, that type of stuff. Because like I said before, if you're in cold water, especially, if you're in the sea, if you're in the North Sea and it's January, and you're in the water, everything about it's telling you not to do it. And you get in the water and your body is literally in survival mode then. It's like everything we've got to do for the next however long we're in here, we just need to stay alive and survive. And that means that your thoughts and whatever's gone on in your head's flat then, isn't it? It's like, it's not there. It's like when you talk about people who play team sports and you cross the white line and you forget everything that's gone on in your life. It's exactly like that.
Yeah, because there's no room for anything else, is there?
Well, no, because you're just trying to survive. and if you've been in cold water or you've been in the North Sea in January with just your shorts on, you really are just trying to survive. And also it's fun, and you feel class when you get out. So
It's a better alternative than kind of cutting yourself, Andy.
it is, aye. It is. It definitely is. It takes a bit longer though.
So, and let's talk about the meditation. What does the meditation give you?
Meditation's just it just clears your mind and stuff, and just allows you that little bit of space where sometimes your mind's very cluttered, or mine is, and it's painful and it's busy and it's overwhelmed a lot of the time. Just meditating, even it's like training. It's like going to the gym. You train your meditation muscles, I suppose, and you can fall into like a bit of a meditative state after not too long, really, and it just gives you a bit of clarity and a bit of calmness and peace.
So you've got to do all of these things just to kind of maintain. This is more like management, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
There's no cure. Is there a cure, do you think, Andy?
No, this is the reality of life, but you can always change what you do and tweak things and go through phases of enjoying doing this a little bit more or enjoying doing that a little bit more, or depending on what the environment's like. Or I go through phases with lifting weights. I I tell myself I didn't like it, and then I'm in the gym and I'm doing it, and I think, oh, it's all right then. And I think a lot of people think that about running and whatever as well. I think a lot of people think, I don't like running, but then when they are running, they think, oh, I actually do like running. But it's nice that I've found something that works for us. And I've got good support around us, which I've always had really. So I just keep going.
How do you feel now? Is the voices still there? How are you?
Yeah, they're there. All of that's still there, but it's learning to live with it. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. They might go one day. Sorry, they might go one day. They very well might not. They might get worse some days, but they're always there. So I just sort of live alongside it. You've got to kind of just like think, oh well, could be worse.
Well, you've lived with it for so long, so do you think you just accepted it and you get used to it?
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible, like, and it's horrible every day. And there's times where I don't like being in like loud environments because the internal noise battles. Sorry. That's the fibro fatigue. It must be about 3 o'clock. the internal like noise battles with the external, which just makes it complete chaos sometimes. Like,
so all of this you've just accumulated. I mean, you've got a vast wealth of knowledge, and you've done everything. So you find you've got the tools to kind of cope now.
Aye, it's just remembering that and having it at the forefront of your mind and all, like, because it is easy to just fuck it off in it sometimes, but you've just got to. I think more than anything else, it's about discipline and motivation to keep yourself right, and that's maybe the hardest thing to do, you know.
So I just wanted a last thing. We talk about messages to people out there who've gone through similar, who've got a few doubts in their mind, who need a just little kind of heads up, little helping hand, you know, like what would be your advice? I mean, it's you could go anywhere, Andy. I know you can go anywhere with this because you've got a lot going on, but
mentally, your first port of call is going to see your GP, I suppose. And I've, over the years, my social media, I only really use it for sort of that type of thing, like mental health stuff and health stuff. And I'm not like saying I'm getting massive, like, whatever, but if it helps one person, great. And I'll be open and honest about stuff, and my posts are always like that, and they always have been for maybe the last 15 years, 12 years, something. And I've had people come up to us in the past and said, I feel like that, what do I do? And I'll always say, well, first of all, go and speak to professional people, but also look for local groups like around you. There's always stuff going on in different places. We've got a few here, like local mental health groups. If it's lads, there's lads only ones. If it's lasses, I'm sure there's lasses only ones. There's all sorts you can do, and for fibro stuff, move your body. Start really slow. Start with 5 minutes, then build up to 5.5 minutes the next day, and then 6 minutes. Start really, really slow, but don't give up on it, because you can still do stuff. There's days where I need a walking stick to walk about. There's days where I can't really do a lot. But if you give up, you've give up then. And what's the point? You know. There is help out there, just go and find it. Have a look on your local social media type things. There's always groups of people and people to talk to and stuff.
I just want to skip back to the conversation we had before we started. You're on Sunderland Till I Die, and you mentioned something about looking back to an interview that you might not be that same person now.
Mm-hmm.
Just what's that like? Only kind of having a, do you feel there's a massive responsibility? Even you put yourself out there and you give yourself a lot to other people, but what's it like to kind of, you know, is there any consequences around that? Do you have any doubts? Does that put pressure on yourself, you know?
Nah, I don't think it does. I think because I think the one thing I'll always try and be, and it's probably to do with me, if it's autism or if it's bipolar or if whatever the hell, and I'm just honest, and what I do say, I mean, like, you know, and yeah, you change as a person as you go along, but the core of you is always going to be the same. And as long as you're honest and you're open and you try and be approachable and you try and be helpful to people, there's something till I die thing. I think I said something like, because it was on about the worst parts of it, about the suicidal thoughts and stuff. And the thing still remains. I want to see us score the next goal, and that's life in it. And I think the next bloke next to you wants to see him score his next goal or whatever, you know. Like, and if you're open and honest, and that's what you get in return off people, and there's no harm, no shame in being vulnerable or talking about these things, because especially if you feel like you've got nothing to prove or you're not worried about any of that type of stuff, as you do change across your life and you change every few months, there's probably a change in you or whatever. But as long as you keep that sort of core and you're developing alongside that, I don't think there's out to stress about, really. You know.
Do you think society still looks down upon mental health issues?
Yes. Yeah. You've just got to. I think dangerous thing to say. Mainstream media, possibly. I'm not one of them type of. I think what's sort of shown and what you say, and the world's a small place now with social media and stuff. When people put out their perception of stuff or they put their agenda out there or whatever. But what I would come back to is, if you ever watch anything on the telly that's been made by Netflix or Amazon or Disney or whatever, the murderer has always got some sort of mental problem. And I don't think that'll ever change, like. And I've got really bad mental problems and I've never stabbed anybody. So I've never even thought about it. I've never attacked anybody randomly. I've never thrown acid at anybody or drove my car at anybody. Like, we're not like that. Cunts are like that, sorry. People who are horrible are like that. It doesn't matter if you've got mental problems or you haven't got mental problems or you know. And I think there's a stigma, or it's an easy thing to stigmatise, I think.
From everybody you meet every day, the true percentage of people you meet, how many do you think have mental health issues?
Well, I think it gets reported as being 1 in 4 over your lifetime. It's probably more than that, to be honest.
But for you, how do you say? Do you think everybody has an issue?
I wouldn't. Everybody's got their own battles, definitely. And I also think as well, what my battle is, and somebody who's got a bit of depression or anxiety, that I say that is no different, because it's not your dealing with that. Like, you know.
It's tough when you can't see inside somebody's head.
Yeah, but you could be Chesterfield Football Club. You could get drawn against Carlisle. You could get drawn against Man City in the cup. You're still playing football. You know what I mean? Like, that to you, that game is as hard as that game, because it's still a game of football. You know, not where I'm coming from. Like, it's sort of, everybody's battles are different. Everybody's issues are different. Doesn't make any harder than anybody else, does it? There needs to be more support out there still, though. Like, funded support rather than community there's a lot of good community stuff now, like, but I think there needs to be more professional, more funding put into like getting more professional people.
Do you think it's just regular folk just taking it into their own hands because nothing else is out there?
100% aye. And anecdotally, you'll speak to people like that who've started stuff, stuff that I've been involved in and seen and whatever. But I'd love to get to a point where I was doing something in a professional capacity and like learning that type of thing, so I can pass some of this stuff on, I suppose. So
You've certainly got the knowledge, Andy.
no, you need a bit of paper, don't you?
You have the toolkit, and you've got a lot of knowledge, and you can help a lot of people. Andy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's hard when people give you compliments. I didn't like it. It's uncomfortable.
Cheers,
just be yourself, man, though, innit? No. And if it helps somebody, it helps somebody. So good. Thank you very much, mate.